Hello to whoever is struggling in their stats class right now. My name is Alex, and my quick disclaimer is that I am not a statistician. I am not a mathematician. I'm just a grad student who actually just enjoys stats, and I want to be able to explain things simply to people who need it. Sometimes I think that we complicate stats more than it needs to be. So my first video, I figured I'd talk about hypothesis testing. The language of hypothesis testing tends to be tricky for a lot of people, but it's something that you really need to know before you go into anything else in stats. So typically how we talk about it is there's a null hypothesis and then there's an alternate hypothesis. Typically, and this is not all situations, so just be mindful, but typically the null hypothesis means nothing significant has been found. So I kind of think of like null and none, nothing. So null, nothing was found, really. There was nothing significantly different that was found in your study. And then your alternate hypothesis is you did find some sort of significant difference in your study. So anytime that you begin a research project, you think about the null and the alternate hypothesis, and you always have both in your study. You might actually have multiple alternate hypotheses, just because depending on what your expectations of the outcome are going to be. But you always come up with your alternate hypothesis, which is the things that you're hoping to find some difference, but then you always need to set your null hypothesis as just in case you find nothing. And you never know what you're going to find and if you're going to find something. That's kind of the point. But so your goal as a researcher is to reject the null hypothesis, because again, null means nothing found. So you would hope to reject the null hypothesis and accept your alternate hypothesis, because you're trying to find some sort of significant difference. So your goal, again, is to reject the null hypothesis and hopefully accept your alternate hypothesis. And if you find nothing, then you fail to reject the null hypothesis. You failed to reject the fact that there was nothing to be found. I mean, you don't want to go so far to say that like your research failed just because you found nothing. You can still use that research to contribute to literature, but think about it as you found nothing, then you fail to reject the null hypothesis. Really connect just the letters here. Null hypothesis, nothing found. Found nothing, you fail to reject the null hypothesis. So hopefully that helps. That's really the conclusion of my first video. I want to keep these short, so hopefully that can help you with the language of hypothesis testing a little bit. Bye, y'all.